Listen to me closely, because the information I am about to share with you is the difference between living your final decades in a wheelchair or walking tall with absolute independence. We have been conditioned to believe that a hip fracture after the age of 65 is just bad luck. We are told it is a clumsy slip, a moment of inattention, or the natural, unavoidable decay of the human body. That is a lie. A fracture at this stage of life is not an accident. It is a statistical probability that we have engineered through decades of wrong advice. The statistics are terrifying, and I am not going to sugarcoat them for you because your comfort is not my priority. Your survival is. For many seniors, a major hip fracture is the beginning of the end. It marks the cessation of independent living, the onset of pneumonia, the loss of muscle mass, and a rapid, spiraling decline in overall health. But here's the hard truth that standard medical guidelines are ignoring. Your bones are not breaking simply because you're aging. They are breaking because they are being chemically dissolved from the inside out. For 40 years, you have been bombarded with a specific government-approved set of nutritional rules. You were told to fear the fat. You were told to base your diet on healthy whole grains. You were told to choose low-fat yogurts and fruit juices. We followed this advice religiously. We stripped the natural fats from our plates and filled our pantries with processed carbohydrates. And what was the result? We created a skeletal emergency. We triggered an epidemic of osteoporosis that calcium supplements cannot fix. This outdated advice is the common enemy. It set the stage for a biological disaster. By removing the structural nutrients that build bone and replacing them with glucose-spiking fillers, we invited a white poison into our bloodstream that acts like a solvent on your skeleton. I want you to visualize your bone structure right now. Do not think of it as a dead rock. In a healthy body, your bone looks like a dense, strong honeycomb, reinforced with steel beams. It is resilient, it is alive, it pulsates with blood flow. It can take a hit and bounce back. Now, imagine a white crystalline substance raining down on that honeycomb. It doesn't just sit there, it reacts, it hisses, it bubbles, it eats away the connections, turning that dense, steel-like structure into something porous, fragile, and dry, like a sponge that has been left in the sun for years until it turns to dust. This is what is happening microscopically every time you spike your blood sugar. I am not here to give you the standard advice to drink more milk. We know that doesn't work. If it did, the countries with the highest dairy consumption wouldn't also have the highest fracture rates. I am here to show you how to stop the chemical reaction that is tearing your skeleton apart. We are going to identify this poison, neutralize the acid it creates, and cement your bones back together using a protocol based on human biochemistry, not food industry marketing. The white poison I am warning you about is sugar. But before you tune out and say, "I don't eat candy, I don't drink soda," you must understand that this goes far beyond the sugar bowl. I'm talking about the hidden, insidious sugars in your bread, your pasta, your crackers, and those heart-healthy cereals that turn into glucose the moment they hit your tongue. When you flood your system with this fuel, you trigger a destructive process called glycation. This is not just a fancy medical term, it is a structural failure of your body's architecture. To understand why your bones break, you have to understand what they are actually made of. We tend to think bones are just blocks of calcium, like a piece of chalk. They are not. If they were just calcium, they would shatter every time you jumped. A healthy bone is a matrix of collagen protein. Think of collagen like a wet, flexible, industrial-strength rope. It is strong because it can bend. It has tensile strength. If you jump off a curb, the rope stretches, absorbs the shock, and snaps back. That is a healthy bone. It is a composite material, like fiberglass. Now here is the biological thriller that no one explains to you. When sugar enters your bloodstream, it becomes sticky. It becomes a predator. It hunts for proteins to latch onto. When it finds the collagen in your bones, that flexible rope, it bonds to it. This process is called advanced glycation end products, or appropriately, AGEs. It chemically alters the collagen. It takes that wet, flexible rope and dries it out. It creates chaotic crosslinks that stiffen the structure. It turns the rope into brittle glass. Imagine your skeleton is made of thousands of these glass strands. As long as you're sitting still on the couch, you're fine. But the moment you trip, the moment you twist to pick up a grocery bag, the glass doesn't stretch, it shatters. This is why we see fragility fractures in people who drink milk and take calcium supplements every single day. They have the mineral density, but they have lost the collagen flexibility. You cannot build a strong house on a rotten, brittle frame. The sugar is rotting the frame. We have to stop thinking of osteoporosis merely as a lack of minerals and start seeing it as the destruction of protein flexibility caused by this white poison. If turning your collagen into glass wasn't dangerous enough, this poison launches a second, even more aggressive attack, the Great Calcium Heist. Your body operates on a very strict set of rules, and the most important one, the one that supersedes everything else, is the pH of your blood. Your blood must stay slightly alkaline, specifically between 7.35 and 7.45. This is not a suggestion, it is a biological law. If your blood pH drops below 7.35, you enter a state of acidosis. If it drops much lower, your enzymes stop working, your organs fail, and you die. It is that serious. Your body will do absolutely anything to prevent this. When you consume refined carbohydrates, sugars, and processed grains, they metabolize into acid. You are flooding your system with metabolic waste. Your body immediately enters emergency mode. It senses the acidity rising and knows it must neutralize it instantly to save your life. To do that, it needs a buffer, a mineral that can cancel out the acid. The best, most abundant buffer in the human body is calcium. Calcium is highly alkaline, but where does your body keep its calcium? It keeps 99% of it locked away in a vault. That vault is your skeleton. To save your life today, your body makes a calculated decision to sacrifice your long-term structure. It activates the parathyroid hormone, which sends chemical signals to unlock the vault. Visualize your bone as a secure bank vault stacked with gold bars. The gold is the calcium. Now visualize acidic blood as a team of desperate robbers breaking down the door. They don't just take a little, they strip the vault. They pull the calcium out of the bone matrix and dump it into the blood to neutralize the sugar and acid you just ate. The reaction happens, the acid is neutralized, and you survive the day. But your bones are left hollowed out. They are less dense. They are weaker. This is the tragic irony of the modern diet. You might be drinking milk to add calcium, but if you are eating a sugary cereal or toast with it, you are pouring water into a bucket with a massive hole in the bottom. You are robbing Peter to pay Paul, and your skeleton is paying the price. This process happens every single time you eat an acid-forming meal. Over decades, this results in a skeleton that is essentially Swiss cheese. There is one more layer to this disaster, and it involves the construction crew inside your body. Your bones are not dead statues. They are a living construction site that never sleeps. You have two teams working 24/7. Team A is the builders, scientifically known as osteoblasts. They lay down new bone tissue. Team B is the demolition crew, known as osteoclasts. They clear away old, damaged bone to make way for the new. In a healthy, youthful body, they work in perfect harmony.
The demolition crew clears a spot, and the builders fill it in immediately. But when you eat the white poison, you spike a hormone called insulin. We usually talk about insulin regarding diabetes or weight gain, but it is a master hormone for your bones too. High, chronic levels of insulin, which is exactly what happens when you graze on carbs all day or eat 6 small meals a day, act like a corrupt foreman on the job site. Insulin creates a blockade. It actively suppresses the builders. It tells the osteoblasts to stop working. At the same time, the chronic acidic environment accelerates the demolition crew. The osteoclasts go into overdrive. Visualize the construction site of your hip bone. The insulin foreman walks in, fires every single worker trying to repair the wall, and then hires 10 more guys with sledgehammers to tear it down faster. The wall gets thinner and thinner, and there is nobody left to fix it. This is the hormonal reality of a high-sugar, high-frequency diet. You are biologically blocking your own ability to regenerate. You are stuck in a cycle of destruction without repair. If you are tired of treating symptoms without knowing the cause, you need to understand that this is the root mechanism. We investigate the root causes that standard guidelines ignore, and we fight for your health truth. Now that we understand the mechanism of destruction, glycation, acidosis, and hormonal blockade, we must execute the rescue protocol. We cannot just hope for the best, we need a strategic intervention. The first step is the purge. But listen carefully. The obvious sugars, the soda, the candy, the cake, are not your biggest threat. You know they are enemies. You likely already avoid them. The real danger, the one that is destroying your bones while you think you are being healthy, comes from the spies in your pantry. I'm talking about the Trojan horses of the food industry. I'm talking about whole wheat bread that spikes your blood sugar higher than a Snickers bar due to the way the flour is processed. I'm talking about heart-healthy fruit juices that are nothing but liquid bone dissolvers. When you juice a fruit, you strip away the fiber, the antidote, and leave only the fructose. Fructose is particularly damaging because it bypasses the body's satiety signals and causes rapid glycation of proteins. I'm talking about agave syrup, the greatest lie of the natural health industry, which is almost pure fructose, a compound that attacks protein structures directly. I'm talking about the flavored yogurts that have more sugar than ice cream. You need to become a detective. Try this immediately after this video. Walk into your kitchen right now. Pick up that healthy yogurt, that granola bar, that box of cereal. Turn it around. Ignore the front of the box. Look at the ingredients. If you see cane sugar, high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin, or fruit juice concentrate in the first 3 lines, that is not food. That is a demolition order for your skeleton. It creates the acid load that forces your body to rob your bones. Throw it out. Do not feel guilty about wasting food. It is not food. It is poison. Your trash can is the safest place for it. Once we stop the poison, we must stop the robbery. The second step of the protocol is the neutralizer. We need to flood the system with alkalinity so your body stops stealing calcium from your bones. When your blood pH is stable and alkaline, the vault stays locked. Your bones remain dense. But here is the secret that most doctors won't emphasize enough. Calcium is not the most important mineral for this phase. You have been oversold on calcium. The mineral you are likely missing, the one that actually allows your bones to hold their structure, is magnesium. Magnesium is the key to the vault. Calcium creates hardness like a brick, but magnesium creates the structural integrity like the mortar holding the bricks together. Without magnesium, calcium cannot be properly integrated into the bone matrix. It just floats around or forms brittle crystals. If you are magnesium deficient, and statistics suggest that over 70% of the population is, your bones will remain soft and brittle regardless of how much milk you drink. Furthermore, magnesium is essential for converting vitamin D into its active form. Without magnesium, your vitamin D supplements are useless. Visualize a brick wall again.
Calcium is the bricks, magnesium is the mortar. If you stack bricks without mortar, the wall falls over the moment you lean on it. That is a bone without magnesium. You need to initiate an alkaline flood starting tomorrow. This is not about buying expensive alkaline water, it is about chemistry. Start your day with a large glass of water with lemon juice or a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. It tastes acidic, but once metabolized by your digestion, it has a powerful alkalizing effect on the body's ash. Then, at dinner, you must include dark leafy greens like spinach, kale, or Swiss chard. These are packed with potassium and magnesium. They act as a shield. When you eat these greens, they provide the buffering minerals your blood needs, so your body leaves your bone calcium where it belongs, in your skeleton. We have stopped the poison, we have alkalized the blood. Now we have a new problem, a paradox that confuses many. You have calcium floating in your bloodstream, either from your diet or released from your bones during the years of damage. If you do not direct it, it will settle in the wrong place.
This is the calcium paradox. It is why we see so many seniors who have osteoporosis, brittle bones, and atherosclerosis, calcified, rock-hard arteries at the same time. The calcium is migrating. It is going to the heart valves, the joints, and the arteries instead of the hip and the spine. It is turning your blood vessels into pipes of stone while your bones turn to dust. We need a traffic controller. We need a director to tell the calcium where to go. That controller is vitamin K2. This is the critical missing link in the modern Western diet. Vitamin K2 activates a specific protein called osteocalcin. Think of osteocalcin as a claw or a magnet on the surface of your bones. In its inactive state, it does nothing, but when activated by vitamin K2, it wakes up. It reaches into the bloodstream, grabs the calcium particle passing by, pulls it out of the artery, and snaps it firmly into the bone matrix. It cements it in place. Without K2, the calcium is blind. It drifts. It causes plaque. With K2, it becomes bone. There is also a second protein called matrix GLA protein, or MGP, which protects your heart. K2 activates MGP to sweep calcium out of your soft tissues. It is a dual-action savior. It cleans your arteries and builds your bones simultaneously. Visualize millions of tiny calcium particles floating through your veins. Without the traffic controller, they get stuck to the walls, blocking blood flow, raising your blood pressure. Now imagine vitamin K2 entering the scene. It turns on the magnets. Suddenly, all that calcium is pulled away from the heart and cemented into the skeleton where it repairs the damage. You cannot get enough K2 from salads or normal vegetables. That is K1. K2 is found in fermented foods like natto, in hard-aged cheeses like Gouda and Brie, in goose liver, and in high-quality egg yolks from pasture-raised chickens. This is why the low-fat diet failed you so miserably. Vitamin K2 is fat-soluble. By removing the animal fat from your diet, you removed the K2, and you lost the ability to direct minerals into your bones. You essentially fired the traffic controller and let chaos take over your circulatory system. Now, we must discuss the physical reality. You can eat perfectly, you can take all the right supplements, but if you do not send a physical signal to your skeleton, it will not rebuild. This is a biological law known as Wolff's Law, discovered in the 19th century. Your bones are incredibly efficient. If they do not perceive a need to support weight or handle impact, they will shed density to save energy. Astronauts lose bone mass in space because there is no gravity signal. If you sit all day, you are simulating zero gravity for your hips. To reverse osteoporosis, you must send a stress signal.
You do not need to run marathons. In fact, that might be dangerous right now if your bones are fragile. You need impact. You need vibration. Bone has a quality called piezoelectricity. When you compress a bone, when you stomp your foot, the crystalline structure of the bone generates a tiny electrical charge. That electricity is the spark. It screams to the bone cells, the osteoblasts, "We are active, we are under load, we need reinforcement, build more bone here." Without that spark, the builders stay asleep. Try this simple movement called the heel drop. It is deceptively simple, but biologically potent. Stand tall, rise up on your toes just an inch or two, then drop down onto your heels. Thud. Do not cushion the blow. You want that jar. That impact sends a jolt of vibration, a piezoelectric signal shooting up through your heel, up your tibia, into your hip socket, and up your spine. It wakes up the skeleton. Doing this 30 times a day can halt bone loss. However, please listen to me regarding safety. I am your mentor, not reckless. If you have existing hip issues, severe osteoporosis, or balance problems, do not do this unsupported. Hold on to a sturdy chair or a kitchen counter. Do not risk a fall to prevent a fracture. Consult your doctor before starting any new movement. Start gently. But understand that without this signal, the nutrition has nowhere to go. You must demand strength from your body if you want it to supply it. There is one final trap I must warn you about, a healthy mistake that even the most disciplined people make. You might be eating the spinach and the almonds to save your bones, thinking you are getting calcium and magnesium, but your body isn't getting a single milligram of the mineral. Why? Because of chemical handcuffs. Many plants, specifically grains, legumes, nuts, and certain greens like raw spinach, have defense mechanisms. They do not want to be eaten. They contain anti-nutrients like oxalates and phytates. Think of these as magnetic shackles. When you eat raw spinach or unsoaked nuts, these shackles exist in your gut. They find the calcium and magnesium molecules you just ate and they snap onto them. They bind them tight. You might swallow the calcium, but the handcuffs prevent it from passing through your intestinal wall into your blood. It forms an insoluble crystal, which, by the way, is what kidney stones are made of, and it bounces off your gut lining and is flushed away. You are starving your bones while on a full stomach. You are eating the right foods, but in the wrong state. The solution is not to stop eating vegetables, but to process them correctly. You must break the handcuffs. Steam your spinach. Do not eat it raw in smoothies every day. The heat destroys a significant portion of the oxalates. Soak your nuts and seeds in water overnight before eating them. The water activates enzymes that dissolve the phytates. Sprout your grains. These traditional preparation methods, which our grandparents used, release the minerals so your body can actually use the treasure you are eating. Do not let modern convenience rob you of nutrition. I need you to have the right mindset as we embark on this journey. You cannot build a skyscraper overnight, but you can put out the fire today. While it takes years to replace the entire skeleton, your skeleton regenerates completely roughly every 10 years. The destruction stops the moment you switch protocols. Within 24 hours of cutting the sugar and flooding the system with magnesium and potassium, the acid robbery ends. The bank vault locks. The parathyroid hormone calms down. Do not wait for a DEXA scan 2 years from now to tell you it's working. Watch your body for the early signs. Watch your energy levels stabilize as you get off the sugar roller coaster. Watch your teeth. Less plaque accumulation often means calcium is staying in your body fluids and bones, not leaking into your saliva. Watch your nails become less brittle. You are not just patching cracks, you are pouring a new foundation. You are reclaiming your biology from a system that has failed you. The medical system is designed to wait for the fracture and then treat you with surgery, titanium screws, and painkillers. It is a reactive system. It waits for the crash. You must be proactive. You must act before the fracture. You have the knowledge now. You know the enemy is the white poison. You know the mechanism is glycation and acidosis. You know the solution is not just calcium, but magnesium, vitamin K2, and piezoelectric impact. You have the power to stop the dissolution of your skeleton. You can turn your bones from brittle chalk back into steel-reinforced concrete. It requires discipline. It requires saying no to the cake, no to the bread, and no to the innocent fruit juice. It requires ignoring the outdated advice that got us here in the first place. But ask yourself, Is the taste of that sugar worth your independence? Is that toast worth a hip fracture? I believe your life is worth more. To complete your rescue protocol, you need to know exactly which foods contain the highest amounts of the traffic controller nutrient, vitamin K2, and how to source them. Most people are completely deficient in this. I have prepared a deep dive into the specific grocery list you need. Watch this next video on the specific foods high in vitamin K2 to complete your rescue protocol. Check out our other great video about the white poison in your kitchen that causes osteoporosis and brittle bones.
It will give you the exact shopping list you need to cement your future.